Let's try this again. I had someone call. I don't know you. 9 times out of 10, I'm not answering. So, yeah, they got the block button. So, anyways, my name is Jedi Dawes. For those who do not know, I have a brand that I've established, or am establishing, to be honest. It's called Courage is Rising, and it focuses on people doing extraordinary things in everyday, ordinary life. And it's about people reaching beyond their comfort levels and having the courage to stand up for themselves and stand up for others. And speaking of standing up, this video, it's an inaugural video here on YouTube. I have several videos on Facebook. I'll have to look at how to transfer that over. Is to highlight Colin Kaepernick, or as I like to call him, Sir Colin the Courageous. His willingness to take a stand is incredible, particularly in this time of tension and also pronounced allergies of many people to the facts. You know, we saw that during the election. That's a whole nother video that I'll get into at another time. Just to be clear, when that video does come, it is not because Donald Trump is a Republican. It is because he is a coward. And as owner of the brand Courage is Rising, you know, not to say that I have not ever exhibited cowardice in my life, but it's something that I just every day seek to eradicate. And I have little patience for those who continue to insist on it, and for those who celebrate it. And so, yeah, Donald Trump is extremely low on the he's on my list. We'll just say that. But anyways, back to Sir Colin the Courageous. The stance that he's took in taking first off, it's sitting for the national anthem, and in the evolution of that, and taking a knee for the national anthem. I think maybe taking a knee. I don't remember if he put his hand over his heart at one point. You know, all of that. It's been a journey and an incredible one. But I salute him for that. You know, and many veterans. I'm not a veteran. I've worked and served them. Worked with them and served them, and have done so with gladness. But many veterans have come out in support of that, only to for their stances to kind of be silenced as well. So thanks for serving the country, but you can't stand up for others who are taking a stance that deviates from the status quo. That's a message that they received a great deal of the time. And in terms of Courage is Rising, I would encourage all of us to continue to raise this issue. You know, it is something that has caused great discomfort among people. I've seen high school acquaintances that have literally threatened violence against anyone that they saw taking a knee during the national anthem. Just think about that for a second. Have threatened literal physical violence. Have threatened to break the law, because assault is not legal here in this country, against anyone who is actually following the law, the First Amendment, if I'm not mistaken, and exercising their freedom of speech. That really says a lot. And in terms of that, of saying a lot, the NFL has spoken volumes in their refusal to allow Sir Colin the Courageous back in the league. But it's and so I will not be watching the NFL this year. Definitely enjoy football. You can probably kind of tell by the face, maybe the shoulders. I'm not a small guy. I'm not even an average guy. About 6'2", and somewhere in the threes, but it's coming down day by day. I've committed myself to working out every day after work with an incredible group of black women at my job. It's open to anyone, but it's mainly sisters there, and another dude is joining. Someone else might join soon, but not a small guy by any means. So I played football, and I was pretty decent at it. I quit football on the cusp of joining varsity to get back in band. I love sports, but I love music a lot more, and I was in Howard's marching band and all of that great stuff. But why this issue is so important that we continue to bring it up is because it underlies the continual patterns of inequality that we see here in this country at every level, at every echelon. There is some insistence that you not express the full humanity of yourself, and that you just go along with whatever is put out in terms of a widely accepted opinion, whether it's true or not, And so, just to expound on that real quick, we're familiar with the 3A's designation, we'll say, where black folks are viewed as 3/8 of a person, and if I'm incorrect among the fractions, please feel free to correct me on that. But that we saw that. Then we saw that along with in the times of slavery and all of the economic turmoil that resulted from that. And we also saw during that time, a lot of people don't know reparations. That's right, I said on reparations that were given to white slave owners when they lost slaves during that time. I believe around 1865, the government made that ruling that hey, for something you didn't earn, for no merit of your own that you had and that you gained greatly from, since you don't have it anymore, we're going to help you out with not only giving you additional land, again I said additional land that you didn't earn. That's called a handout. But we're also going to give you cash money, and the amounts varied for these slaves that you no longer had. So we had that for a good while. Then we had a little something the country liked to call Jim Crow, right? And we saw all kinds of just continued economic devastation from that. We saw during the Great Depression with President Roosevelt's New Deal. Well, it turned out to be a New Deal primarily for white people during that time. I will not say that African Americans did not benefit, but it was nowhere near as equal. And in regards to that, during that time, you also saw a great deal of migration, as the cities certainly benefited more from it, and blacks in large droves moved from the South to places like St. Louis and Chicago and other places like that to seek this opportunity. And when they got there, I won't say the opportunity never happened. It certainly did in some places, but it never happened anywhere to the level in which it should have. Why? Because there was, as folk have said it in various videos, you got Tone Talks, who's presented a significant amount of data on it. Yvette Carnell, who's presented a significant amount of data as well. You had various reinforcements through policy, through economic practice, and otherwise that reinforced an effort at a permanent underclass. And so there were a lot of negatives from that. And then that also saw the rise of the Klan. It saw continued economic devastation, continued a really significant increase in physical devastation through domestic terrorism and whatnot. Then you saw various movements through the 50s and 60s with Dr. King, Rosa Parks, who was not the first person to refuse to give up their seat to a white man on the bus. It was Claudette Colvin, but that was another conversation. So you had all these various attempts to get a seat at the table, to reference Solange's album. But that seat has never really been at the table. And although the designation is not in the Constitution for black folk to be 3/8 of a person, and it might be 5/8. Again, if I'm incorrect on the fraction, then I ask your I apologize in advance. But the main issue is that we're dealing with a fraction when we're talking about people. We're talking about a government designation of people being less than a full person. So yeah, that's the main problem with that. But that has continued, and that's why I gave those historical references today. You have mass incarceration in America, which has just ripped apart black culture and society and family, in particular, but not limited to black men. 10,000 per 100,000, right of rate of around 9 to 10%. That's never been seen before anywhere on Earth. I'll say it again. That's never been seen before anywhere on Earth. No modern society has had incarceration rates anywhere near that level. And so if you want to convince yourself by some mass delusion that black men are inherently more violent than the rest of the population, then you do so. But I grew up in a vastly, predominantly white environment, and although I didn't get invited to a lot of the parties and whatnot, which I thank God these days, because this wasn't a party to a lot of the foolishness that went on, but I'm certainly aware these ears are small, but they're powerful, and so I heard a lot of what went on, and I know a lot of what went on, and so the difference is, though, a lot of what went on, the vast majority of it, people were not arrested for, people were not prosecuted for, people did not serve jail time for, and so basically receiving that. And it wasn't my town that was exclusive to. That is the norm du jour for a lot of suburban communities across this country. And so you have that continued opportunity to further yourself economically that a lot of white Americans have enjoyed, not only in this day and age, but back to the founding of the country. So it's an unbroken legacy in a lot of ways. So combine the mass incarceration with the continued not only trauma but total lack of accountability that we see on this continual loop through mainstream media with little to no, I can't say no, but I'll say little challenge of what is going on, and you as a person, you as a I'll just say person because it's not exclusive to men just standing up. Women have stood up as well, including several women in various high school sports and whatnot have stood up in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick. You as a person, particularly one with a platform, have a decision to make at some point of the stance that you either are or not going to make. There's something in the Bible that refers to, and it's not referring to this, but it can be applied in a lot of different situations of counting the cost. And so when Sir Colin the Courageous took that stance, he had already considered some of the possibilities of this backlash. I'm not sure if he considered the extent to which he would go to be blackballed from the league, but he definitely knew that there was a possibility of that happening, and lo and behold, it has happened. And not only has it happened, but it's intensified as less than stellar quarterbacks have continued to be injured close to the start of the season, and he's still not being given an opportunity to go and do what he has shown that he can do on a high professional level like he's done before. So that sucks. I think we all agree to that. That sucks. But that is, again, a seat at the table. And Salon, shout out to you. That was a super dope album. A really, really good, dope album. But you know what's better than a seat at the table? Building your own table. And it'd be super dope if in right, as far as right gets with the NFL, that's kind of an ironic joke if you didn't get it. But that'd be really cool if he got signed by a team. It'd be a great development. But I'm not counting on the NFL to make that happen. They've shown their true colors for quite a while now in terms of locking him out. And so in regards to making your own table, I want to make clear the point that the NFL will need Colin Kaepernick and others like him far more than Colin Kaepernick, Sir Colin the Courageous, and others like him will ever need the NFL. I know it doesn't seem like it. Someone say, John, what are you talking about? These are tens of millions of dollars that we're talking about here. But what we've seen in the situation is that he who can giveth can taketh away. And so where my thought is, and others I've heard brainstorm as well, and I actually also heard KRS-One talking about years ago in terms of, various controversies with Venus and Serena. There only could be, Colin Kaepernick could start his own league, and in effect build his own table. There is access to capital to where a startup league could be funded. It would certainly be much, much smaller to begin with because, basic economics. But ownership of that league and the opportunities that it could create for people in various communities with a significant high level of talent to play football. If that was a decision, if that is what the decision was, I absolutely see that it could be viable. He is he's now icon status, and he has the reach and the ear of the people, and I think he has enough cultural capital for folks to get behind him. Excuse me, and to be able to make this happen. And so this is the inaugural YouTube episode of Courage is Rising. I just wanted to highlight Sir Colin the Courageous, and again reinforce and remind us of the notion that a seat at the table is great, but it pales in comparison to being able to make your own table and to decide your destiny, because as unfortunately as we've seen once again, time and time again in America, when black folk decide to insist on their humanity, there is a significant cost to pay. So Sir Colin the Courageous is paying that cost right now. It remains to be seen if that cost will be reversed. But I'm here to say it doesn't matter if that cost is reversed or not. There are still tons of ways for him to experience a significant level of not only economic success, but collective uplift and community empowerment and group economics from whatever decision that he decides to embark on next. And he has my full and total support. I hope at some point this year I can be able to meet with him. Marketing is one of the things I do really well, and I would love to lend my talents to some kind of endeavor, because it's so much bigger than the NFL. This is, as Rick Rogers says, deeper than rap. This is definitely deeper than football, and it's about us, particularly as black folk, insisting and declaring our worth as people, and as every other culture in America has done, and has been met with some kind of economic answer. Ours still has not been met with an economic answer, and so that still needs to be uplifted. But at the same time, while we uplift that doesn't mean that we can't go and establish solutions for ourselves to keep it pushing and keep it moving forward. Please feel free to share this video. This is Jedi Dawes with Courage is Rising. Again, reminding you to look within and use the courage that you already have to have it rise within to do extraordinary things on an ordinary basis. Talk to y'all soon. Appreciate your support. So long.